We are just setting things up here. Hey, there he is.
Yep,
All
we
right.
live.
We live indeed. Ah, we'll wait a second to get things started up.
All right. Um, I don't think I have like the mini button to like small screen it. Is that? Can you do that when you're live?
That's a good question. Whoops. Um,
This is my first time ever going live.
you can try it. I mean, now's the time to try it.
All right, because I'm not seeing it. So
Okay. Well, if need be, I can just quickly read out the questions and we can go from there.
yeah, that works for me.
How you doing? We'll just wait a few minutes to get started here. How's your
I'm
morning?
doing all right.
Oh, it's noon over there right now, right?
Yeah, it's noon. I got to sleep until 10:30, which is nice. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, just had a big day yesterday. Just had to go to the city of Peoria and just get a bunch of stuff taken care of. And yeah,
And you're
long
you're
day.
on break too, right? From university.
Yep, on Christmas break, and that's so nice.
Oh man. All right. Well, do we want to get started here?
Uh, yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Well, welcome to Cedar Weekly. We are here on week 11 with Cameron McIntire, and this is our first live edition on Cedar Weekly, so this is exciting. And yeah, I'm here with my good friend who grew up with, went to high school, middle school, elementary with, known each other for a long time. But we've got some exciting news today regarding a joint project we've been working on for uh, a good part of this year. And we're really excited to share that with you of where we're at and how you can help out with that. But first of all, it being 2 days till Christmas, I want to talk a little bit about that and just reminisce a little bit about the past before we really dive into what we've got to talk about today. But Christmas means a lot to some people and not so much to others, but it can be celebrated in many different ways in many different cultures. And you and I have had the privilege of getting to grow up overseas for most of our lives and getting to be immersed in lots of different styles of celebrating Christmases and holidays all over the world. So I was curious, do you have any favorite memories, Christmas memories from growing up?
Hmm. Um, that's a tough one for me because I would say I have a lot of fun Christmas memories. Um, but I would say my favorite one would always be like growing up with like, particularly at the school we went to, there was always this sort of atmosphere of like, hey, the class will have a Christmas party, and like, I was I was really pleased that like I was able to go to that school and see Christmas parties evolve from just the ones we had in elementary to the ones we would have up until high school, up until everybody just started doing their own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember sort of that constant sort of traditional memory just sort of continuing and like growing older with the same sort of people was always a privilege. And then we'd have like multiple birthdays in the class in December, and so that was always fun. So like my fond memories would be like being able to have those parties with my friends.
Yeah, like your birthday. It's in December.
Oh yeah, my birthday. I completely forgot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of just experiences we had that, yeah, did grow up over the years. And I was thinking about for me, and I think, I don't know, I really can't like pick out, kind of like what you're saying. I can't pick out a favorite Christmas memory. I think that it's been just, it's like one big experience from childhood all the way up till now that every Christmas kind of builds upon. So it just keeps adding more and more meaning to it. But yeah, were there any unconventional things you guys did to celebrate Christmas?
Um, I can't say really for Christmas there was anything unconventional. Um, I guess like tradition wise, we're a pretty traditional family. Like we have the Advent calendar, we have Christmas under the tree.
Hmm.
But I would say, well, the most untraditional thing we had going on specifically was the fact that we were in Africa and the whole rest of our family was in the United States. So it
Mm,
was a traditional American Christmas, but it wasn't like the traditional family Christmas because
yeah.
because we were just away from family. Well, most families would be having like a huge get together with you know turkey, the potatoes, the ham, the whole deal. We'd be my mom would make a huge lasagna, and we'd have so it allowed us a lot of opportunity to just do our own thing, which was also pretty
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this last night, and yeah, yeah, because even though we spent a lot of Christmases overseas, that I just, yeah, there's so much about the international Christmas experience that I loved. I always think about all the street vendors in Senegal that they would show up with all the full Christmas tree, plus the decorations, plus blow up Santas, tinsel, ornaments, all these things, and I'll be just like huge carrying it over to sell wherever you were in the town. So yeah, but we also, I don't know if you guys ever did this, but we would sometimes go, we had like there was a beach vacation place we'd go to, called Ngaparou, that we'd often spend part of the Christmas break on. So for our family, that was always a big part of doing Christmas in Senegal. And just, yeah, we had like we had an ancient Christmas tree, a fake Christmas tree that lasted us the entire time we were in Senegal. I think we brought it with us when we first came, and we gave it away when I graduated, and it so that was like,
Ooh,
yeah, over 12 Christmases. So yeah, that was pretty
I would
crazy.
say I've been to Ngaparou. I remember that
Mm,
time you invited me and Blake down there with your family. That was a fun time.
that's right. That was
But
fun.
my Ngaparou thing, just as a family, it's just not something we did. But I have been to Ngaparou, and it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, you guys always went to like Wild d'Or, right? The beach that was closer in
Yeah,
town.
yeah, I don't know if we would go there on Christmas, but we definitely went there on Thanksgiving a few times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing like having the beach to go to during the Christmas break. Yeah, I think there was a year where
Oh
we were surfing on Christmas. So yeah, you don't get that everywhere
yeah,
in the
oof,
world. But
oh
yeah.
dude, uh,
Yeah. So I'm curious, what is Christmas for you like now? Like what does it mean to you? Has it kind of evolved, like you're saying, over the years? Do you think you have found a different meaning to it now?
well, ultimately, it's about the birth of Jesus Christ. That's the religious significance. That's the main significance in my life.
Hmm.
Um, but it's been interesting because traditionally it always means family. It always means coming together as a family and being close and family traditions. Um, the problem is, for the last 2 years, my parents have been in Senegal. So for the past two Christmases, excuse me, I've had to spend Christmas with relatives. Now
Yeah.
it's and so that was sort of hard for me because it was like it wasn't the traditional family aspect. because I'd be going to someone else's family and doing Christmas with their traditions um, and then just the way they did Christmas, which was fine. I mean, I'm really thankful that I have relatives willing to step in and invite me.
Yeah.
So, and the relatives were in Florida, so it was like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah, such a pain.
So yeah, yeah, I realized how like even though I was missing home and I was missing my family, I was like, and I was sad they weren't there with me for Christmas. I was also very happy. Like I have wonderful relatives who are willing to step in and be there for me, which means a lot.
Yeah.
So although it wasn't like the traditional immediate family thing, I also was like, okay, I have other family members who do care about me, and that meant a lot. So now traditionally it just means, I guess as of right now, that Christmas to me means just birth of Jesus and being surrounded by loved ones, not necessarily
Mm.
immediate family, not necessarily family at all. They could be friends, but just surrounded by people who you care about and care about you genuinely.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I would probably say the same for me because I had my first Christmas away from family last year, and that was a really bizarre experience. It was still good, I spent it with the Hills, who are great people, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was very different. And yeah, I was gonna say as well for me, I think that I don't know, as a kid, and maybe this is just part of being a kid and growing up, but it always used to be about the presents and getting the presents as a kid growing up and what were you gonna get. Um, but I think living overseas and growing up overseas really taught me a lot about the kind of switching the narrative around and putting the blessing and the excitement part of it on the giving of the gifts rather than the getting of the gifts. And I think just because, in the culture, there wasn't a huge um, area of wealth for just, tons of giving gifts like it is in Western culture in a lot of places. Um, and so, you were thankful with what you were given, and you could see when you gave something to other people, people were so appreciative of what you gave them that it really meant so much to them. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would I would agree with that. Just the taking of the initiative to do something nice for other people was like when you did it, you saw the smile on their face and how like they were genuinely appreciative of it, and that always made like when I did something for somebody and they were genuinely appreciative of it, that always made me feel good.
yeah. I mean, yeah, and I think nowadays it's just carried over to the fact that like this Christmas, I'm really excited about the gifts I have to give to my family. And I just think that really it makes Christmas a more fun experience, and um, in a way, there's no letdown because you know what you're giving. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, I wanted to transition to what we really want to talk about today after that extended intro of Christmas. Um, but we have been working on a collaborative project that we want to include um, really anyone who's listening. Um, Basically, if you are an MK, we would love to have you involved. And if you know of anyone who's an MK or who'd be interested, please let them know. Um, I also wanted to say before we kind of dive into this that we'll have a Q&A section at the end of this video. So if anyone has any questions during this, there should be a button on the live that you can submit questions. So if you have any, feel free to ask them, or just in the comment section, you can do that as well. That way at the end, we can talk about any of those if we need to. But Cameron, I thought you could start out by just giving a overview of what it is we're doing and why and what we're planning.
All right. So essentially, what it is a collection of MK experiences from multiple MKs from multiple different regions of the world, multiple different missions, and they're talking about, well, the goal is to provide insight and advice for those MKs who will be transitioning to the U.S. or their home country, excuse me, for a permanent basis, whether it be, military, working, going to university. And I came up and I think I brought this to JJ's attention last summer, I believe.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I thought he'd have some good input on it. And it was just like, I remember when I first came to the States and went to college, there was a whole lot that I wish I had known. There's a whole lot I wish I could have learned. And there really wasn't anybody I could go to. And there really wasn't any like source I could have. And like anybody I gone to was like transitioned like, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that was difficult. Like I had my brother who was also on the same campus and went through the same sort of things I did, so it was nice to have that. But for those who don't have like a sibling on campus or a resource to go to, this is kind of what I wanted to do, was put my experiences of like my first 2.5 years of college on paper, and what lessons I learned from that and what advice I would give to other MKs going through the same process. Because like now I feel like I'm providing, or like anybody getting involved in this is providing a resource for like freshman me who I wish I had that resource.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think, even with all the classes and the seminars and everything that we were put through, both
Mhm.
leaving high school, and also I know some people in our class specifically did like a MK, what do you call it? MK Connect kind of thing of having another
So
sort
like
of thing.
re-entry.
Yeah, re-entry sort of thing. Um, but for me, I felt like one key thing that was missing was just the element of personal testimony and how powerful that is to help someone understand what the transition process is going to be like. I was given a ton of data and a ton of like scientific information and self-help material and stuff, which is all fine and good, but I was never really given any personal testimony about what it would be like to actually step foot on an airplane, leaving my home country for good, and then going for the first time to, well, not necessarily for the first time, but going to college or a gap year or military, like you're saying, for the first time. And that transition was it was really hard for me. And like you're saying, there's so many things I wasn't prepared for in that.
Yep, absolutely. I like what you said about like the personal like testimony and personal story aspect to it, because that for me personally is how I learn.
Yeah, yeah,
Like somebody tells their life or their experiences, that for some reason that just like gets my focus. And I just think if like, and I'll admit I've made mistakes. I'll admit I've been embarrassed. I've done things that I wish I hadn't, or things I regret doing.
hmm,
But I think if someone can take a look at what I've written or what anybody's written, and look at that and learn from that, they'll be better off.
yeah. And just for anybody joining right now, I see Jamie has joined the chat. Um, this is the newest edition of Cedar Weekly, but we're talking about a joint project that Karen and I have been working on, and want to include any MK who is interested in sharing basically their personal story or testimony about their transition from leaving high school or leaving their home country of where they grew up to transitioning back to the States or whatever country they ended up going to, whether it was university or um, military or a gap year or something like that. And yeah, Cameron, do you want to walk through a little bit of what the process will be like if you're interested in helping out with this?
So if you're interested, I would say reach out to either me or JJ. I You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Um, I could probably put my email address somewhere and contact me, and we can give you the template of what we think everybody needs to follow, and just sort of based off of what things people should, write about. And like, so our template involves like the importance of choosing a next step, the effects of leaving your home,
Mm-hmm.
process of transition, mental health, relationships and dating, pursuing your passion versus pursuing practicality, um, employment, whether that be full time or seasonal or part time. And like, we also talk about when you miss people, places, and memories and stuff, and like how to like separate how to dissect those three and separate them. And we also talk about maintaining old friendships when you're surrounded by a bunch of new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were challenged in our faith and how we grew from that, and like maybe what questions we still have. And I like to emphasis on what questions we still have
Mm-hmm.
because I'll admit it, I'm 21. Like I'm not going to sit here and claim I have all the answers. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is also kind of an honest reflection of where a 21-year-old MK is at 21, transitioning
Yeah.
in the university.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
if you
so
want to
to
reach out, or me or JJ, either way, and we can set you up.
yeah, and actually, I'll point you to a place that will kind of bring this all together in just a second. But yeah, so basically, this is a written testimonial collection of testimonials that hopefully will be a resource for anyone, both for MKs looking to transition, also for parents of MKs who are looking how to help their kid in their transition. It can also be a great resource for teachers and mentors in people's lives who are immersed with MK individuals. So basically, the process is what Cameron was just saying is we have kind of a questionnaire we've created, and as part of the first part of the process, anyone who's interested can first of all, the landing site where I'm going to direct everyone right now is on my website, cedarandtheseekers.com. You can find this in my link tree on my account. So if you go to my Instagram account at the bottom of my bio, there's a little link that says link tree and my name. And then if you click on that, the first link is going to be called MK Project. And that will send you to a page on my website. And basically that kind of gives you a brief overview of what it is we're doing. And it has a place where you can submit a little message to us where that will be basically your way of reaching out to us and saying, hey, I want to be a part of this. You can also message, like Cameron was saying, you can message me or him. That works as well. We'll get you involved either way. But the website will help you kind of get a better overview. Also on the website, we've included both of our examples. So if you're curious about what the final product will kind of look like, what a testimonial is like, you can read either or both of ours, which will be at the bottom of that page. And yeah, so basically if you send us the message saying, hey, I'm interested, we'll send you an email shortly giving you the questionnaire that outlines basically what we'd like you to cover. You can read any of the examples we've provided. And we set up a couple deadlines to keep people accountable, and we'll try and message you and remind you and let you know that those deadlines are coming up. But right now, I think, Cameron, we're sitting on the last week of February being the deadline for your first draft. So that should give you a
Yeah.
pretty extended period. If you're busy with school or anything, that you're able to take time to kind of write it out and submit it to us. And you can just, send that to us however you want, whether it's HTML or a Google Doc. Those will probably be the easiest formats for us. A Word document works as well. But yeah, we'll get that information to you if you're interested. Just reach out to us and we'll give you that information. But yeah, basically, last week of February is the first deadline for the first draft, and then we'll do a couple week period of revising, letting you know if there's anything we'd like you to change or maybe expand upon. And then hopefully kind of after those edits will be to come back in finishing around April with the goal of having this available to the public around May, kind of starting the graduation season. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Cameron?
Um, Not a whole lot. I would just say I'll admit when I first started, when like this idea first started, I took it as sort of like a way to vent out like my frustrations and what like pissed me off about being an MK in the States and what that transition looked like. But I've revised everything. This is not a place where, you know, you vent out your frustrations. Like we want you to be able to express yourself, but we'd also want you to be like, hey, like properly express the lesson you learned and what advice you'd give. Like try and be constructive about it and not just like, oh, woe is me. As harsh as that sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, I like kind of mingling the personal story aspect where, you're not going to cut out the bad things because they did happen, but also realize like pairing it with the advice factor, like how can this benefit someone else by reading this? How could I help someone going through a similar transition in the future?
Right.
But it sounds like a couple people are asking a few questions, and if you have any more questions, please submit them now because we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, basically, this is something Cameron and I are passionate about, and we've shared our stories. Like I said, if you want to read the examples we've given, they'll be in that link to the website. Again, it's on my Instagram bio. You'll see my link tree at the bottom of my bio, and that will be send you to another page where MK Project will be at the top. And if you click on that, that will take you to the page on my website where you can submit and let us know that you would like to be part of this. So yeah, I think one question maybe that's sort of coming up is about the the kind of scope of what it is we're doing. And basically, I wanted to say first of all that if you're an MK, we want to include as many people as possible. And at the moment, we're not entirely sure. This is the first time we've announced this, Cameron, so we're not entirely sure what the response is going to be. Um, but we're hoping that over time we can compile a really good resource. So the May idea is hopefully going to be our kind of first edition, where we'll have a number of testimonials, as many as we can get, but hopefully we can build upon that so that in the future, you're able to go to this place. We're probably thinking maybe like a website or some sort of page where you can sort through different people's experiences by country or by mission or by different topics so that you're able to, find the information that you need to find to help you with your transition. So yeah, if you know anybody who'd be interested in this, please let them know. If you're an MK who's graduated a while ago, that's still fine. We'd love to hear about your transition. I was thinking actually, Cameron, something we could add to the questionnaire would maybe be your age, because I didn't think about that until now, but that might be a good thing to include, like age of when you're writing this, so people know, like, are you fresh out of the transition? Are you
Right.
just starting, or have you been, in the States for a while? Um, so
Right. That's a good. I think I made the mistake of just assuming that you went to college at 8, you graduated high school, and then you just took the next step at 18. A lot of people may have chosen something else or
yeah,
like gone to college at like 20 or 19. So yeah, including age, I think would be a good idea.
yeah, and everyone, that's the point is that everyone has such a different story that bringing as many people as we can into this will help kind of create almost an average of like something that's useful for a number of people, not just one specific type of person who happens to be like Cameron or I. So yeah, let me just see. Yeah, my brother was saying we could add the year of transition. Yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Because then you would also get because things change over time as well. So that's good. I'm just checking out the questions. Okay, so one of the questions we got is, with these deadlines, will there still be opportunity for people to submit testimonials in the future?
Uh, I would say yes. However, we want you to do your best to meet that deadline because we want to try and keep this organized. We want to try and keep this, as professional as possible, and we don't want stuff all over the place. So if you could try to meet that deadline, we'll probably put out a second deadline some other time.
Yeah.
But I'll just try your best to meet that deadline.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that that first deadline will be for looking towards releasing it in May. Um, so, but we're hoping, as I said a minute ago, to continue to expand this over time. So if you want to be included in the May edition and be considered for that, then the deadline is the second is the sorry the last week of February. Um, but in the future, maybe we were maybe thinking of possibly releasing another edition, perhaps in the fall. When school's starting back up or something, when people are looking to go back to college or looking at applying to colleges or something, we might come out with a further deadline for people who want to submit for that as we continue to growing this. So we'll keep you guys updated. But if you're interested, I actually, Cameron, this is probably news to you, but I had this idea late last night. I was getting some last minute things done, and I thought it would be cool if we actually just set up a joint kind of email account so that we can keep people informed. So, um, along with MailChimp, which is an email service provider, um, if you want to keep being updated on the deadlines, and if you're interested in submitting your own testimonial about your MK experience of transitioning after high school or after you left your home country, then just let us know. Text Cameron or I. Again, you can go to the link in my bio under MK Project, which will take you to the page on my website where you can also send us a little message saying, hey, I'm interested, and we'll add you to that email list so that we can keep you updated. And you can share this with other people. Please do. Cameron and I, we both have a similar experience. We both grew up in the same country, went to the same high school, and both ended up going to college as well. So we have a fairly similar experience. But we want to hear from people from all over the world, who maybe didn't grow up in Senegal, or people who had a completely different mission or ended up not going to college, or we'd love to hear whatever it is. Even if you've been out of that transition for a while, we'd still love to hear from you. So is there Cameron, is there any other thing you wanted to add?
Um, yeah, and like another, and this just goes along with what you were just saying about choosing a next step and like who we want involved. I would say like we're not just trying to lump all of college into college. Like if you went to public university, state college, private Christian college, like those experiences will be different, I think, fundamentally. Yeah. So like sure they'll have similarities, but like just the fact that like those are two different atmospheres of university. So I think also that will be a unique experience. So I would encourage an MK who went to a state college or a public college or a community college or a Christian college, submit what you got, because like we want, if we get this with enough variety, then enough people will be able to come to it and get advice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the goal, is that I think both you and I were thinking, if we were in high school, junior, senior year, as we were trying to make all these big decisions and figuring out how we were going to spend thousands of dollars, or how our parents were going to spend thousands of dollars, that it would have been helpful to have known a lot about, the things that we would later go through, and the choices we made that would have a huge effect that we didn't really realize at the time would have such a big effect. So yeah, I'm really hoping that this can be beneficial and also, kind of a cathartic experience of working through the past, and talking about your transition is always a good, healthy thing to do. So I think it's been good for me just writing out my own version of it. And I think you could probably say the same, Cameron, as you were saying earlier, that you kind of have come to different points of dealing with what it is you wrote down.
Yeah, so like there were different aspects of the transition that were difficult, and I think that what helped me was like, and this is one personal thing. Like when I came to college and was like, I needed someone to talk to about like what I was going through. I only had my sibling, my older brother. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Um, but like I couldn't talk to my roommate about this. I couldn't talk to classmates about this. There's really no professor I could go to because that'd have been weird. But like I had my sibling and that was it. So it was like, and like so I would reach out to classmates and everything. And but it's like I wish I had someone who understood and
Yeah.
recognized. So and I felt like so alone in that sense. Like I was the only one going through this massive transition. Now, sure, you know, moving to college is a big transition for any 18-year-old, and like, but what always what always upset me was when like people would be like, "Oh yeah, I miss home so much. Yeah, moving to college has been so difficult." I'm like, "Oh, so where are you from?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm a 2 hour drive away that way." I'm like, "Please, I come from a different side of the globe." So
Uh,
essentially, like this, I want this to be a strong resource for people as well as I want them to recognize they're not alone in going through this difficult transition, and that this is a resource that can help. And like any advice that people in here give, try it out, listen to it and learn from it. I hope people who are about to graduate, like I would love it if a class a high school, a missionary high school that like what we had would use this to help the seniors about to graduate. I really wish they would do that. I would, and also I think people who even aren't MKs who could find these and read these be like, okay, we like would they'd have a better understanding of where we're coming from
yeah.
as MKs. So I think this is just a valuable tool for MKs to feel not so alone and find help, but also people who aren't to understand, oh, this is what MKs are going through. Be supportive, but you know, admit when you don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, Someone also just pointed out that maybe in the distant future we could connect transitioners with someone who can talk with them. And I think that's a great idea. That because I think so much of this is the personal experience factor, that you can get the diagrams and you can get the life skills classes and all these things that are helpful to some extent. Um, but also personal testimony, I think far surpasses all those things that you really don't know until you're able to talk it over with someone about their experience. So that's a good idea. And I also completely agree with what you were saying, Cameron, that, there's I hope that this will be a real tool for MKs looking to go to transition, but I also think that for anyone, who's facing transition or who transitioned in the past and is still dealing with that, hopefully this will be a good resource for you too. Even if you're not an MK and you're just moving states or you're going to college, even if you do live only 2 hours away from the college, these can still be, huge things for you because you've never, you never grew up moving across different continents. So it's different for everybody. The process of transition is different for everybody. Right now, we're just wanting this to be for MKs. If you are a TCK, we would still be interested in hearing your testimony. I think for the first draft, we probably won't be including that, but perhaps in the future, we'd like to grow to include a more diverse perspective. So if you're still interested in that, please reach out to us. Um, so yeah, someone also just pointed out in the comments that we can reach out to different organizations to help um, promote this further and help specifically with MK schools like Dakar Academy, like the one we grew up at. perhaps
Mhm.
Rift Valley as well, which is kind of the other bigger one. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're hoping to get as many people involved as possible, and we may be in over our head and might have to change some things around, or we might be okay. But either way, we'd love to have you, and we'd love to hear about your experience. So one more time, just if if you're interested, brief overview of what we've been talking about is just we're creating this project that will be a resource that anyone can access, that will have many different testimonial experiences from MKs around the world with different experiences transitioning from their home country to whether it was college or whether it was a gap year or military or whatever it might have been. But that testimonial experience, we have a questionnaire that kind of guides you through the process of writing that all down. And if you're interested in being a part of this, and if you know anyone who would be interested in being a part of this, you can reach out to either Cameron or I via message, or probably the best place to do it is by going to the link in my bio. If you click on the link tree at the bottom, you'll be taken to a set of other links where it will say MK Project at the top. And that will lead you to a page on my website, which will give you more information about it. It allows you to also submit a message saying, hey, I'm interested in being a part of this. And also at the very bottom, you can read Cameron's and my example testimonial that we've written out so that you can kind of get an idea of what this will end up looking like. So yeah, Karen, is there any last things you wanted to add?
No, I think that covers everything. I think we hit all the bases. I will say this is our first time doing this, so like if we do hit challenges or hit difficulties, please be patient with this process. Is we will probably hit speed bumps as anything new does. So, but yeah, if you want to be a part of this, definitely let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Cameron. This is your idea that you came up with and talked to me about it, and I'm really excited for where this can go. Because yeah, I'm I think this can be a real tool for people. So thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
everyone who tuned in today. We'll be reaching out more. Remember to get in contact if you're interested. Let other people know. Please share this. Please tell anyone, yeah, who might be interested in sharing. Um, Thank you for joining us on week 11 of Cedar Weekly. It has been a pleasure to be here with Cameron McIntire. So see you next week for another exclusive interview with videographer and film producer Josiah Perry as we bring in the new year. So see you
Oh,
next
Terry.
time. Yeah. We're getting all the old friends in. All right.
Nice.
Hey, thanks, Cameron. All right. See y'all later. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you all who tuned in. Bye.